Hand on. 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to Something to Dream About. My name is Courtney.
And I'm Olivia.
What do you think about before going to bed? Do you wonder what's happening in the world?
Well, you should. That's what we're for. Join us in our journey about learning more about the world around us.
And be ready to be inspired.
Today, join us in tonight's episode starring Icy Guo and learn about the interesting things that happen in the New Zealand Air Force.
Have fun and have sweet dreams about the aircraft.
Now, let's play a video about Icy.
Hi, I'm Flying Officer Icy Guo, and I'm currently an engineering officer in the RNZF. It's been a childhood inspiration that I really want to work with aircraft and new technologies. Since I was young, I like to pull things apart and play with it, have a look at what's going on inside and putting them back together. So I look after the mission system side of things. That is basically everything from sensors, cameras, radar. So this is one of the device that goes in the avionics bay. It's like a brain for the radar, basically. This is a weather radar that we use on the P3K2. We use it out when they're doing search and rescue and surveillance. This camera over here that we have is a surveillance camera. It's capable of looking at objects 5 km away. There's a lot of enjoyable activities that Defence Force offers. If you are a very outdoor person, you can join a club and then just play for the team. Mechatronics and tinkering stuff are my 3 passions. Choose yours below to find the career you love.
Wow, that was so interesting.
I know, right? I think Icy is very brave and smart to be doing something to protect all of us.
I'm very excited to learn more about Icy and the work she does.
Well then, without further ado, let's invite Icy to the studio.
Hi, Icy. So today we have a few quick ask, quick response today, and hopefully they'll be fun.
Yeah, sure.
So starting off, how long have you been working in the New Zealand?
Just over 8 years.
Wow, that's pretty long, isn't it? Could you tell us about the most interesting moment you have had at the Air Force?
Moment. There's a lot. There's a lot. I wouldn't say there's a particular one. There's heaps of different things that happen. It's more like an experience rather than a particular moment. It's meeting with people, doing things, doing different things that you wouldn't be able to do it outside of things.
What would you say your favorite experience would be?
Deployments was quite interesting. Yeah.
So we talked about deployments. Could you tell us about some more about what like deployments are, what you do, and what's not?
So the one interesting one I was working for the United Nations Command over at the border of North and South Korea. So I was working with the other defense forces around the world and basically you see what's happening outside of not just the peaceful New Zealand.
That's really cool. So how are the proportions of like gender or like ethnicity in the Air Force?
Ooh, okay. So at the moment, Air Force is sitting at probably about 20%. Navy is doing slightly better.
Yeah.
Probably have 20%, probably just under 20%. Navy is slightly over.
Yeah.
And in Army is lower than Air Force. But in general, it's quite low in gender-wise. Ethnicity-wise, I haven't really had like a proper count, but like Asians, not much.
Would you say you're like the only one in your sector, or?
No. So I was the first Asian female in it, and now I've actively helped recruit a couple more. So we just did have a few more female engineers Asian face at least.
That's nice, yeah. In a workplace with like a lot of men, do you feel like you've been treated differently because you're a female?
No. So that was the question I keep saying to other people. If you feel different, you are different. If you don't feel different, it's nothing different.
That's really true.
That's really true.
That's a really good point. So do you need like certain qualifications to join the Air Force or like Army, like your eyesight or health? And concerning the gender ratio that you talked about, do you think that the requirements for everyone is the same, or do they have different requirements for genders, or is there nothing?
So yes, we do have different criteria.
Yeah.
And across the whole, not just Air Force, but Air Force Navy and Army, there's about like 120 different trades that you can get into, and different trades have different like qualification requirements, whether you need like just out of high school, or if you need university graduation, if you need work experience. Say for example, for me as an engineer, I need an engineering degree. But if you just joining up as a airman or soldier, you can just be NCA qualified from like year 13 go and straight after year 13. And after some history, in terms fitness wise, yes, there is different level of fitness that you have to pass. So for Air Force, we do press-ups and run weighted march. So you're given like a 20 kg pack and you do like 5K to run within a certain period of time. And depending on your gender, your age, the criteria is slightly different.
Oh, I see. So like, say if you're in the Air Force, are there requirements for like eyesight, like you have to have like good eyes and like stuff?
Yes and no, depending on what trade.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you're a pilot, you're required to have a very good eyesight. If you're like me, this job is probably like as long as you can see.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what personality traits do you think is most important in the Air Force?
Social. You're dealing with, just like with any job, you are dealing with people.
Yeah.
Do you think working at the Air Force can affect like your relationships?
No, not really. Not really. I haven't. Really.
Is there anything like relationship wise, like marriage? Do you think Air Force?
I think what a lot of people think about when they talk about like Air Force, Defense Force, or Army, or people have very narrow idea of go away. We were like, we're doing random stuff. New Zealand Defense Force is more like a job. We'll go to work, we'll go home at the end of the day, and I work 7:30 to 4:30, and I just go home. I don't have to stay in. I just go to my job.
So would you say like the work atmosphere at the Air Force is more relaxed or more rigid than other places?
More relaxed.
Really?
More relaxed than
Okay, so compared to like other like maybe like office work, so there are like lots of places they go for like outings, right? So we do that too as well.
as well. So we have like team building events. I think we are a bit better in some of the offices because we do sports events and we do team buildings, we do adventure trainings. Yeah, we have heaps of like social welfare stuff. So just last week, I had a colleague that's going away, and we have got like a particular what do you call it, farewell lunch and have like farewell morning tea.
It's fun.
We do all kinds of things as well.
Yeah, to finish off the theme of something to do with that, also a few questions for you. Connie, do you want to start?
Yeah. Why is there more men than females?
I think it's just traditional. If you think about the traditional ways coming 120 or 200 years back, it's just people have this idea of army is for male. And it is true back in 100 years' time, but we're not going to go there. But people still having to adapt to it. And then people have to needing, like what the question was asked before, what do you think? What's the difference between a female working and a male? Because people think about that all the time. If you don't think about it, then people need to start think differently. So it takes time.
All the mindset.
It's all about the mindset, a change of mindset as well.
Do you have any other jobs in mind for like going to the Air Force?
Yeah, well, I studied mechatronics engineering, obviously. So for me, I've always wanted to work with latest technology, whether it's aircraft, automation, robotics. So I did, but this one, I landed on this job when I was looking for an internship. And I've been given the opportunity, so I was like, oh, I might as well. I might as well try. So this is actually the only job that I applied, proper job I applied and I got it.
How has being in the Air Force like affected your daily life?
I think thinking back the last couple of years, the Air Force is more like a family. So you work with the people and you socialize with them, and we have a lot of social functions as well outside of normal work. So you make friends with your colleagues.
What pressure do you have?
Pressures, depending on the period of time that I'm working with, like what kind of project I'm working on, what kind of job I'm working on, because I move around quite a bit. In the last 2 or 3 years, because we were involved with COVID, so that was there was a little bit of pressure around when we are working with like quarantine facilities as well, but also deadlines like any other job.
What's the funnest part in your job?
Funnest part. I think it's variety. The variety that I can get from this, being an engineering officer, something every day.
Would you ask Icy to try to tell us something about the pictures?
Which one?
Yeah. I thought
Which
this one is quite
one?
interesting.
Which one? So you can just keep scrolling.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so that's inside the cockpit. So with my job, I don't need to fly a plane because I have pilots that do that. I always said our pilots are like our bus drivers, and we're trying to keep our engineers on the ground because eventually, if you plane crashes, you don't want don't want your engineer to be in the aircraft. You want your engineers to be off the aircraft to look after the aircraft. So, but that's interesting. Every now and then we do get to fly around, and quite often.
Is any female pilots and or
Yep, we do have
female
pilots.
Oh,
Pilots in the aircraft.
and what about this one? What are you guys doing here?
What do we?
Yeah.
That's a parade. That's a change of command parade. So we do have parades quite often. So every time we have something ceremonial, we do a parade. Something interesting happens. So it's something that we don't see in civilian streets. That's a simulator. So I used to work with simulators. We do have a couple of simulators. So the pilots or aircrew would train the simulator before they go fly actual plane.
So like, is it kind of like a VR thing?
Yeah. So the whole thing, like the whole thing moves. You can see the whole screen. They have different degree of simulators. Some of the simulators are like full on 5D, and some of the simulators literally just have screens.
So it sounds like shape and shape.
Yeah. Like actually you can feel it moving.
Who are they? Yeah. Lovely.
Okay.
That was so cool.
It is cool.
It was, wasn't it? It was so fun and interesting.
I was so intrigued with how cool and important the Air Force was. Thank you so much for coming. So cute.